In this episode of ALBON Garage, we put on our new turbo.
Oh man, so good to see that bolted onto something.
In the last episode of ALBON Garage, we gutted the Supra in preparation for a bigger, badder snail. Now, the old turbo wasn't all bad. There was minimal shaft play and the wheel looked good, but the oil seals were gone, and we couldn't have that. The first step in prepping the new turbo for install was giving the old compressor housing a chop and using the aluminum elbow on the new one. By the way, the guy doing the chopping? Yeah, that's our buddy Peter, and he's a bit of a whiz kid when it comes to Supras. So finally, here's the new turbo. It's a precision 67mm turbo, and it's got ball bearings and a billet compressor wheel. This puts this turbo in a whole different league than the old one. By the way, the silicone couplers are here just for mock-up until we can get the elbow welded on. We started the process of transferring all the fittings to the new turbo, starting with the oil drain. We're using high-temp silicone to seal the oil drain flange and leaving it overnight to cure. Here you can get a glimpse at the very sexy billet wheel, and it looks awesome. Looking at the exhaust sides, you can clearly see that the old one has lived an abusive life. Is it heavy, bro?
No.
We left the turbo to cure and rolled to the local auto parts store to get some replacement spark plugs. When we got back to the lab, we had to gap our spark plugs to better suit our application. Peter's gapping them on the marble flooring because he's an out-of-control baller.
See that gap? And that way you still see if you do it against some surface like this, it's rough. So you lose that, it'll get rough here, and you can end up getting hot spots.
Right,
so that's why you want to do it against a nice, smooth marble surface here.
Yeah, we only gap our plugs on marble. After that, I installed the spark plugs while Peter cleaned out our oil-soaked wastegate and downpipe. And after that, we called it a night. The following day, Peter and I were back in the lab and couldn't help but spend the first few minutes of our workday admiring that hunk of precision-carved aluminum. Anyways, we put the compressor side on the turbo loosely so we could start the process of mounting the turbo and clocking the core until everything lined up perfectly.
Oh man, so good to see that bolted onto something. You'll need a stock coupling.
We check the fit of the turbo, then pull it off to adjust, then throw it back on, and repeat.
The spring is just so much tighter. And as all things in life, tighter is better.
The whole process is trial and error, so it can be a bit of a pain, but it's really important your turbo is mounted correctly so your oil drains properly, the dump pipe lines up, and the intercooler pipes fit right. By the time we got it lined up, it was time for Peter's hourly burger break. After munching on some delicious burgers, we started bolting down the turbo. Peter decided to modify some tools in order to get them to fit in some of the tighter spots. The local residents were not as impressed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Look at that. Peter was then rewarded for his efforts with some delicious fruit custard.
Huh, not bad.
After getting the turbo on, we started bolting up all the oil and air lines. With those out of the way, it was time to address the elephant in the room, that feral air filter. Horsepower!
Made in USA.
so much better already, bro.
Right?
Cool, man.
Fresh.
Next on the list was this nasty catch can. The catch can is designed to grab oil blow-by from your valve covers and can definitely be an important tool. That is, if you bother to ever clean it out. After that, we busted out our new vise so we could finally get out the old wastegate spring. The wastegate spring is what determines your minimum amount of boost, so it's important to get the right spring in there so you have a safe boost level to fall back on should something go wrong. The springs that we found inside were a bit of a mystery, as they weren't HKS springs. We knew we needed new springs, but we had to do some noodling on what springs we needed to hit the right base boost. On top of that, these HKS springs are damn near impossible to find, so it was going to take some internet detective work to source the exact springs we needed. The night wore on as we discussed our options. We had finished what we needed to get done for today, and we'd be back at it again the next day, but that's for another episode.